Heyman Lee was killed on January 13, 1999 in Baltimore, Maryland. Adnan Saded, Hayes' high school ex-boyfriend, was convicted of first-degree murder, robbery, kidnapping, and false imprisonment of Heyman Lee. However, Adnan retains his innocence to this day and is currently free due to his vacated case. Before then, he was in jail for about 23 years with a life sentence. But ultimately, he is not to blame for the death of Heyman Lee. Adnan Saded, the person who was convicted and Heyman Lee's ex-boyfriend at the time of her murder. Some things about his character included being Muslim, not being allowed to date, a golden boy, and a tendency to over-explain at sometimes. Jay Wilds, a friend of Adnan who was an accomplice to the murder, was a crucial part of this whole case. His confession is what got Adnan into jail, even though his story was constantly changing. His character is also very skeptical and unpredictable. Alonzo Sellers, aka Mr. S, the person who found the body of Heyman Lee, who was a potential suspect initially but let off by the police, but his details are still important to the overall story. Jen, a friend of Jay who Jay told that Adnan killed Hay. Her account is important to Jay's case. Chris, another friend of Jay who is told a version of the story from Jay. Stephanie, Jay's girlfriend at the time, and it was her birthday during the murder. Nikisha Horton, Jay's ex-girlfriend during the late 2000s. She faced a domestic dispute in April 2009 from Jay, and he was let off with minor consequences. Her story reveals a lot about Jay's personality. Laura, a classmate and friend of Adnan, Jay, Jen, and Stephanie, who gives her personal account of Adnan. Asia McLean, an unused alibi whose story can change the whole case. Although Adnan was ultimately the person who was convicted of the murder of Hay, there's too little evidence to overall make that case, and evidence that points to another person instead. He did not have a clear motive, and the motive that the courts determined was that there was bad feelings about Adnan and Hay's breakup. Adnan and Hay's breakup was not that bad. It was not the cleanest breakup, but they ended up on good terms and moved on pretty fast as Hay got a new boyfriend. There were a lot of inconsistencies on Adnan's whereabouts during the time of the murder. Asia McLean says he was at the local public library. Jay says they met up at a Best Buy, his grandma's house, and Edmondson Avenue, and even Adnan does not know what he was doing. Although personal accounts have biases, people that knew Adnan knew him as a golden boy, respectful, and no particular bad background. His overall character would not be fit to murder someone, especially through manual strangulation, which is highly violent. Jay Wilds was a key player in this case, being the closest account to Adnan during Hay's murder. However, his story had major inconsistencies and were very unreliable. But the overall story of Adnan showing Jay the body, lending his phone and car to Jay, and the burial location stays the same. During the 4 police interviews Jay had, his accounts in each of them had small but mighty changes. Adnan would kill Hay. Jay would meet him at a Best Buy parking lot and be shown the body, then stay driving Adnan's car and Adnan driving Hay's car. Adnan killed at Papasico State Park. Adnan showed the body on Edmondson Avenue, not at a Best Buy parking lot. Adnan showed the body at Jay's grandma's house, but didn't speak of this until 2014 as he did not want to involve his grandmother. Jay claimed that he never met up with Adnan after the murder, but there is photographic evidence of them at a party after that day. Jen was told that Adnan killed Hay. She also drove Jay to his work at FMN and saw him throw out his clothes, which he had worn the day before, which was the day of the murder. Chris was told that Adnan forced Jay to bury the body and threatened to hurt Stephanie if he made any noises. It was Stephanie's birthday on the day of the murder. She was also friends with Adnan. Jay was lended Adnan's car and phone to get a gift for her on her birthday. Laura always thought Adnan was innocent, but she wouldn't think Jay would lie to get Adnan in trouble like that. Asia McClain claims that Adnan was in the local public library during the time of the murder. She was not close to Adnan and was only really a classmate to him. Nikisha Horton was involved in a domestic dispute with Jay in 2009 with her son. He was intoxicated during the time and was considered highly dangerous. She suffered a black eye and bruises in the aftermath. Jay, however, was let off scot-free on the charges against him. From the inconsistent stories to the police and friends, and his scarily close involvement in the murder of Hay, Jay Wilds is the real murderer of Hae-Min Lee. First off, Jay's character of being very unreliable in the police interviews and storytelling makes him suspicious. This is because why would he not tell a clear story with no inconsistencies or big changes if he wasn't trying to get out of something? This also builds distrust with him as there are too many changes being tossed around, which messes with the overall stories and makes the investigators in court to make claims without strong, reliable evidence, which was a part of the reason why they explained Adnan's motive as being heartbroken from the breakup with Hay. Another part of his character was the story with Nikisha Horton, which he had a past of getting away with the law with little to no consequences, which would point the way why he was able to get away with Hae-Min Lee's case in the past. His close involvement in the murder is also very concerning, as he could have been the one who did the deed. He was with Adnan for all but one crucial event during the murder, so he could have been lying and have been there for the murder itself. This would also explain why Adnan was seen as the person who did the deed. And Jay's past with Nikisha Horton in 2009, where he had beaten her in a domestic assault case, would relate very closely to Hay's death cause of manual strangulation. His motive could be speculated to be jealousy with Adnan's friendship with Stephanie, and he wanted to get back at Adnan by killing his ex, who he had okay terms with after the breakup. With this, there is too much evidence that could be pointed towards Jay that could make him guilty and the one who really killed Hae-Min Lee.